that, I'm using a towel grip to emphasize grip strength because my hands have to work harder to grip it. Plus, the slack on the towel creates an instead of swing and squat, double hand flip, swing and squat, double hand flip, and stuff. But anyway, let's hold on and take a look for a second. I think I look pretty good. Like, especially with this connection into here. Like, I've worked quite a bit to build on that. So like all this. So for today's workout, I'm doing a mixture of cardio and weight training. Going to do something circuit based, and then the treadmill is going to be the common part of all of this. The common movement is going to be 1 minute backwards walking and 30 seconds forward push. This is a way I like to combine cardio and lifting so that I can keep my heart rate high, but also get some resistance training. I've been feeling pretty tired today, and I needed a lot of energy drinks and caffeine to get me going. So, not going to push anything too heavy because heavy weights kind of affect CNS fatigue. So instead, I'm going to try challenge myself more cardiovascularly. And yeah, so this is where we're at. 1 minute backwards, 30 seconds forwards. The backwards part of things recruits the quads and drives a lot of blood into the quads and knees. The forward part of things is good for toes and calves. So every time I'm planting my foot, there, if you notice, my big toe is stretching and I'm applying pressure into the floor with my toes. That then stretches the calves and then goes into the hamstrings and glutes, and you're able to build a good glute and ham drive with that. The second exercise in the circuit is kettlebell swings. So there are a lot of tutorials for kettlebell swings. I think it's a really good movement for your glutes and also to learn how to use your whole body as a unit and move with momentum rather than like gripping weight too hard and stuff like that. The next movement in the circuit is alternate medicine ball slams. So I'm rotating my arm and slamming, recruiting the shoulders in a more functional way as opposed to shoulder presses and stuff like that don't really utilize the shoulders for like what you usually do with them. There's barely many instances in daily life where you're actually doing shoulder presses, but there's quite a bit of sports where you like throw the ball or throw something to somebody or like rotate your arms or something like that. So that functionality often goes untrained. So also there's muscles in the serratus connecting to the abs that get utilized with all this. The final movement in the circuit is towel grip deadlift with an upright row. The weight really isn't heavy enough to challenge the legs on the deadlift, but it is just a way to include another muscle group in the movement to trigger a better growth response. You doing compound movements seem to have a higher growth hormone and testosterone release than just individualized movements. Also, on top of that, I'm using a towel grip to emphasize grip strength because my hands have to work harder to grip it. Plus, the slack on the towel creates an instability component with the shoulder, which forces the shoulders to work a little harder as well. So just within the circuit, we're targeting a lot of different muscle groups, but there is a primary focus on legs and shoulders. Going for 5 sets of this circuit, and then we'll see what happens next. So for the second circuit, similar to the first circuit, starting off with the backward treadmill and the forward as mentioned before. If you guys don't have one of these, like, use any cardio machine. So like when I didn't have one of these, I would do 2 minutes on the Stairmaster at a certain level, pick your level, and then superset it with 2 or 3 weight training movements and do that as a circuit. I promise that once you do it that way, like, the kind of cardiovascular burn you'll feel is pretty awesome. Anyway, but for me, I prefer doing this a lot because I'm a big believer in the knees over toes method, and knees over toes guys method, or ATG method, whatever you want to call it. And so this is a way by, like, most people have a problem with like mobility or knees over toes style training where they're like, oh, it's not intense enough, or it doesn't challenge me like by weight or cardiovascular or whatever the hell. And so my answer to that is to superset the knees over toe stuff with other exercises in a way that it contributes to the intensity of the workout. So by doing like a backward sled or the treadmill as a part of a circuit, I'm able to, uh, you know, get my mobility, get my that kind of work in, along with my main resistance training, and get cardio in. For the first weight training movement of the circuit, doing deadlifts to row. So the staggered and unilateral nature of the movement forces the core to be engaged a lot more than if you were doing it, like, let's say, both legs at the same time. So this is a way by which you can train these supporting cast muscles that often go underworked or unnoticed. And then when you end up lifting like a heavy deadlift or something, usually people, when they go higher up in weight, the things that fail are like grip strength, or their back starts rounding up, or one of their hips gives out, and then they're not able to complete the lift, or they get injured. By throwing in a lot of unilateral movement and a lot of staggered stance stuff and movements in which you combine like a deadlift and a row, or like a clean and a press, you start learning how to use your body as a unit and move from one movement to the other. So for example, if you're just doing curls all the time and not a curl to press, you don't get so good at like transferring that weight. Or also like being too focused on one movement versus being able to flow from one movement to the other. Anyway, with the deadlifts, going 10 each side, really targeting the posterior chain with the deadlift and the row hitting the lats. For the next movement in the circuit, doing towel grip pull-ups for 4 reps. The towel makes it really hard on the forearms, forces you to recruit the lats a lot more intentionally. Also, it adds an instability component. For the final movement of the circuit, doing curl to presses. So as I was mentioning earlier, like most people just do curls or just do presses. But when you do curl to presses, there's like this constant tension element, but also a movement from a bicep exercise into a shoulder exercise. It is my belief that you need to get accustomed to using your whole body as a unit. And because most real life movements don't just have you curl or press. Maybe you have to pick up something off the floor and put it at a shelf above you. That's like a deadlift, curl, and press all in one. So you can think of many other movements like that, but more often than not, most real life movements require you to use your whole body as a unit. And at least in my personal experience, by doing a lot of movements such as these, my body feels a lot looser and much more ready in day-to-day life. That being said, I'm not going to war or anything, so it's not like I need my body to be that robust for just working at a desk. But it feels good to know that I'm fit and no matter what happened, I'd be up to the task. But yeah, that's the circuit I'm doing for now, and gonna do 5 sets like the first one.
So turns out I have some audio issues for this clip, so I'm just going to tell you what I was doing. So with the 62-pound kettlebell doing this swing squat, so as the kettlebell swings forward, I'm going to like squat down and bounce. Uh, but this is kind of what I'm getting at. Like you need to experience this ability of moving with the weight and transferring momentum. So I'm doing a swing squat to a double-handed simple forward flip catch, doing 5 reps of that, and then doing 5 reps of suitcase deadlifts each side. Suitcase deadlifts is a unilateral movement that helps me target the obliques really well, and also good for the posterior chain. I in the previous one of the previous circuits, I was doing like a staggered deadlift with the kettlebell in the middle of the legs. Here it's to the outer side, which gives for a different stimulus. Then, as in the previous circuits, finishing off with some backwards walking and forward sled. But yeah, one of the things that uh, I was talking about while I was in the treadmill that I guess didn't get recorded was that my training style is pretty unique, and I, it might not be for everybody, but I think there are bits and pieces in it that can be applicable for anyone that's training. Also, it's highly likely that some of the stuff doesn't make sense as to why I'm doing it. Sometimes I'm like so focused on my workout that I'm speaking gibberish while I'm training, and the information that I'm trying to relay does may not come off as clearly as I want it to. So if you guys have any questions about the stuff that I'm doing during my workouts, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm still at like 110 subscribers. I'm not at like a million getting hundreds of comments where I can't read stuff. So I still see every comment. There's not very many of them. So if you guys have questions or anything like that, feel free to ask them. I know diet's a big thing that people probably wonder about, but I don't. I'll record it maybe in the future, but I'm not going to record my meals every day because sometimes uh, my eating schedule is weird. But yeah, uh, there's going to be some posing after this. So let's just fast forward to that.
So my bus isn't coming for another, I think, 18 minutes or so. So I have just enough time for a quick posing slash physique check session before I have to rush to the bus stop. Anyhow, let's see how I look. Ended up taking a 10-pound kettlebell into the sauna and then did some forearm exercises and did some swings and stuff. But anyway, let's hold on and take a look for a second. I think I look pretty good. Like, especially with this connection into here. Like, I've worked quite a bit to build on that. So like all the hip flexor stuff that I do, yesterday's workout where I did a bunch of rotations and stuff, that's what helps build these obliques and also this connection into this. Also, a lot of the lying knee to chest kind of stuff is what has helped me build good. It's called an Apollo's belt, but if you watch Rick and Morty, they call it cum gutters. But don't quote me on that. I'm just saying what the people are saying. But anyway, not looking too bad. Yeah, can't wait for this summer. Once I'm able to tan and stuff. Like once I tan, like something makes me more vascular. It makes the skin kind of glued to the skin a little bit more, and it makes me look so much more like ripped. And this is already kind of the most ripped and muscular I've been. So for that to be even more, it'll be like I guess my best shape ever. I'm already in my best shape ever, but there's like levels more to go. The striations in the shoulder can get a little bit more, you know? There's always a little bit more. Ah, the lighting is perfect here. Would you look at that? Should I move a little? Let's see. Oh, that pose. Make somewhere over here. Yeah, looking massive over there. Alright, let's do one back pose and then I'm out of here. I don't know if that vacuum was good, but that's all for today's video. See you all tomorrow.